April 3rd, 2018. Minecraft just released a peculiar update to Bedrock Edition. At face value, it seems relatively normal. It added some experimental features like swimming and drowns, but it also held something unusual. 113 developer-only commands. Now, okay, why is this important? Most commands seems to be relatively harmless or were too complex to make any impact. And for the most part, yeah, they just had some interesting quirks and honestly were really cool to see, except for 9. These 9 commands, although genuinely useful for developers, potentially have the power to do anything from crash other players' games to somehow attacking players' computers directly, almost turning Minecraft into a virus. /wipeout is the first command in question because it really sets the stage for what happens a day later. In this update, /wipeout basically clears every entity from your world, and as we can see in this video, just deletes them. It doesn't kill them or anything, so there's no items left over, making it great for resetting maps. And the same goes for Minecraft. The developers figuratively hit /wipeout with an emergency patch, getting rid of all these developer commands a day later, April 4th. But why? Wouldn't more commands be better for the game? A first glance says that the commands don't just look interesting, but they seem quite useful. Another example of a great command that was added is /enchantrandom, which, as you can probably tell, randomly enchants the item you're holding. Now, the wiki is a bit ambiguous on how this command works, but it seems to randomize 1 or 2 enchantments on a given item, although it's unclear what kinds of, how many, and what level of enchantments can be randomized. But my 2 favorite commands here are probably /health and /hunger, which allegedly allow you to modify our player's health and hunger respectively. Now, we can sort of recreate the /health command using the /damage command that exists in the game, but we have basically 0 way to precisely increase or decrease a player's hunger. So obviously there's a lot of cool commands, but then there's some other commands that are a bit more confusing. For example, /placehand places the block in your hand, and /destroyblock destroys a block. Okay, it's definitely a bit weird to me that these commands exist. The one advantage they have over just normally placing and destroying a block is that you can do these at any specified coordinates, but we already have /fill and /setBlock, so I'm still questioning the real purpose of these commands. Additionally, you also have the stop time command, which stops or continues time similar to the /tick freeze command. But this existed before the /tick command was a thing, so alright, I'll give it a pass. But do you know what I don't give a pass? /clear inventory. Why does this exist? It does exactly what you expect. It clears your inventory. But guess what? This command already exists. And guess what else? This command is /clear. You have to type an extra 9 letters just for the exact same result. Also, it comes with another command, /clearslot, which clears a slot in your inventory. Guess what? This also already exists. /place from hand and /destroyblock, okay, I can kind of get. Maybe there's some niche developer use for it that I don't understand. And maybe I can somehow give a pass to /clearslot. But /clear inventory? Why? Why? Someone please explain this to me. Why? Okay, alright. The next command is the /timelock command, which stops or continues time, similar to the /tick freeze command. Now, this existed before the /tick command was a thing, so... Wait a minute, this sounds familiar. No! 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 Why? Why do both stop time and /timelock exist? Why do they have to have 2 different commands to do the exact same thing? Why? Okay, I'm just done. I'm just gonna... Oh, yeah, by the way, this command existed. Yes, /crash was a real command, but it actually makes a little bit of sense. Despite the fact that the game is designed to not crash, it definitely is going to happen eventually. And devs probably need to make sure everything crashes smoothly? I don't really get how you have a smooth crash, but okay, that's beside the point. Now, for most of the commands, we've had to do a lot of speculating because we don't know a lot about them, but this is one of the few that actually has pretty good documentation, which is /kit. It basically allows you to get one of 4 different kits for creative mode. The Block UI kit giving interface-based blocks, the Minecart kit which gave you minecart-based items, the Redstone kit which gave you redstone-based items, and the Wool kit which gives you a bunch of colored sheep hair. But this is where things start to get a little bit more complicated. In this update, there's quite a few commands that start with /get, followed by some information that the commands are getting. For example, /get chest contents, which gets the contents of a chest, and /get durability, which gets the durability of a selected item, both of which seem relatively pointless considering this is super easy to do already. But there's even more of these commands. /get experience gets the player's experience level. Get selected item count tells you how many items you're holding. Get player biome tells you what biome you're in. Get FPS gets your frame rate. Get block name tells you the block you're looking at. Get pause tells you your coordinates, all of which you can already find out extremely easily. So why? Okay, now theoretically these commands could have an argument afterwards where you type in the name of a player you want to get information from, but the wiki describes most of these commands as getting the durability, the experience level, or the biome, instead of getting a result, implying there is no room for an additional argument. Well, it is possible that the wiki is just saying it wrong, but based on the video evidence from this update and showing that the /enchant random command doesn't have space for another argument, this seems unlikely. Ultimately, we can't know for sure. My personal guess is that these commands exist for data storage and logging purposes, but I'm not really sure. That being said, these commands aren't entirely useless. Theoretically, you could still get information from another player by using a slight workaround, the /execute command, which is actually really simple. In a normal game, if I type /say and then a message, it will pop up with my message. But if I type /execute, target this chicken right here, and then type the command, it makes the chicken say the message instead. This means that every command we've gone over so far could be run by targeting another player, making them definitely a bit more useful. /place from hands to place a block from their hand slot, /enchant random to randomly enchant their gear, /clear inventory to clear their... Okay, no, that command's still useless, never mind. But then you have /kit to give them items, or even /crash to crash their game. Wait, what? /crash as well? Okay, now, surely you can't use /execute to crash someone's game. That would be a pretty big problem and makes no sense. There's no way that could work. Except, I can't find any reason it couldn't. Maybe there is some coding nuance that prevents this from happening, but because it's never been tested, theoretically, it could, making this one of the first 9 dangerous commands. Now, let me be absolutely clear here. This is all speculation on what these commands could do to other players when combined with the /execute command. There's very little record of how these commands worked, and so I'm giving the worst case scenario of what could have happened based on the information I know. If you do have more info though, please let me know, but for now, it only gets worse from here. The next 5 commands are /getOS, returning the operating system's version, getCPU, returning the CPU information, getGPU, returning GPU information, getGPU memory, returning video memory size, and /getSystemMemory, returning the system memory size. These commands directly get information about the user's computer specs. Now, I'm no computer expert, but this information, although it's definitely stuff I wouldn't want people stealing, probably isn't going to be the end of the world. I mean, like, what are they going to do with my system memory size? Oh. But then there's one more command which is awfully vague. /getSystemInfo. We don't know what kind of system info this grabs. The wiki is completely blank. But ultimately, if it's any more than these other 5 commands I've listed, that could have created big problems. But maybe not as big of a problem as command 8. /fill drive. As a developer command, this makes total sense. The wiki says it fills the player's drive with dummy files, presumably to stress test the game from crashes due to a full disk. But as you look further into it, it just gets worse. Obviously, the worst case scenario is that you use /execute to fill another user's computer with a bunch of garbage files. What makes this arguably worse is that it fills the drive with these files until it has a specified number of bytes remaining free, meaning you could set a number of 0 and completely fill up a player's entire drive with just these dummy files. In fact, the command actually accepts negative values, which allegedly work the same as setting a value of 0. But it gets even worse. If, somehow, the player doesn't crash and doesn't freeze, this command can be run over and over and over again. Every time it is rerun, it deletes all the dummy files before running it again, meaning you could theoretically constantly make another player's computer create and delete and create and delete and create and delete files over and over again, which, as far as I'm aware, can cause damage to certain storage systems if prolonged for long enough time. This is the virus command, writing and deleting files over and over again, sending a relentless attack on the computer as long as your game is open. But yet somehow, it gets weirder, because the last command is /network_stats. Now, unlike the other commands, the wiki has no information on what this actually does at all, and so we have to speculate a lot more on this command and what network stats it actually provides. Theoretically, it could provide info such as IP addresses and Wi-Fi information, or it could just give you stuff like your ping. Personally, I think it would provide limited information about the server network, but I decided to try and find out for sure. I noticed how the commands usually had a description afterwards saying more or less what they did, so I figured if I could find someone with the /network_stats command up while they were typing a command, I could read its description and maybe figure it out. So after a while of searching, I saw this user type /w in their command line, meaning /network_stats should show up because it contains a W. Since the list is alphabetized after the W result, /network_stats should be located here. But it wasn't. What? Is the wiki wrong? Did these commands never exist? After more searching, I realized that another user was missing the /filldrive command, which should be located here. But it wasn't. Were these commands really gone? If so, how did the wiki get them? But eventually, 6.5 minutes into this video, for only a few frames, you can see a cut-off command in the top left corner, which, if we overlay the Minecraft font onto, perfectly frames out the /filldrive command. And in addition, he uses /crash at one point in the video. So, okay, they did exist, but why only on some game versions instead of others? Looking a little deeper, the description of the second video states that these commands only worked on realms, which is later confirmed by the user of the first video. My first suspicion was that the Minecraft developers recognized the danger of these commands and removed at least some of them from multiplayer worlds, which is why this single-player world could still use them. But that doesn't quite add up. All of these worlds are in the same version, Bedrock 1.2.13, and if these commands solely worked in realms, this user shouldn't have them at all. Plus, the release of these commands was an accident. How would the developers decide to add this safeguard if they never expected it to be released? The wiki adds one more insight though, saying the iOS version is notable in that it includes debug commands commonly used in testing. Of the 3 videos we've seen, only the last one was using the iOS Pocket Edition. So, okay, the iOS edition can use the commands offline. So, this leaves us with 2 options. First, the Minecraft devs disabled these commands for online worlds, likely identifying them to be problematic in their own testing. Or 2, some of these commands only work for the iOS version of Minecraft. I'll look into more details, but if you have any more info, let me know. But for now, there's one last problematic command. This command is the /simlock command, which stops or continues time, similar to the /timelock and /stoptime commands. Why do they have 3 different commands for the same thing? What's the point?